They say home is where the heart is. Well, in today's show, it's home is where the art is. Grab your walking shoes, because on today's Go, we're taking you step by step through Whistler's 12th annual Art Walk. We're here outside Millennium Place, which is the starting point for this year's Art Walk, taking place June 27th until August 31st. And the color coordinator next to me, Andrea Mueller, is one of the people in charge of this year's Art Walk. So Andrea, first of all, just that, how does Art Walk work? What's it all about?
So Millennium Place is the starting point for Art Walk. You can pick up your Art Walk guide, which has a map on the back and leads you through to find all the different venues that are taking part of Art Walk. You can also follow our little red flag to take part in all the activities.
Yeah, so we've got 60 different artists taking place, 40 venues. You can find these flags around town. How does it work? People just go in and just browse the art. Obviously, you've got the map here as well.
So you can shop, you can explore, and you can win prizing. You can pick up the guide, and inside the guide you can actually collect stickers to win. So collect all stickers to spell the word Art Walk. Drop that off either here at Millennium Place, the Information Center, or up at the Westin at our pop-up studio, and you'd be entered to win original artwork.
Okay, I'll talk more about those contests later on in the show. But many different cities do this throughout BC. I know Art Walk is becoming very popular, 12th year here. Why the need to bring this to Whistler?
So Whistler, it's a little bit difficult for artists to have representation all year round. So it gives artists an opportunity to work with the business community as well, and to have a place to showcase their artwork to a global community.
Yeah, and how much has it really kind of increased popularity-wise? Have you even seen, being at the Arts Council, how big has this become in Whistler? It's your biggest arts festival, I know.
Right, and on June 27th is our opening reception night. So that fills up the entire stroll with people who are taking part in all the activities. We have probably about 40 local artists that are going to be taking part as performers, as musicians, creating live artwork on the stroll. So it's a great event, it's huge.
Yeah, and on top of that, you can see, as you mentioned, it's the first year you have a pop-up, a studio, where you can actually see not only the artist's work in the stories, but actually the artists working away, right?
Right, and that's going to be for the entire 2 months duration. So on our opening night, everybody comes out to bring the stroll alive with different art demonstrations, that sort of thing. But this year's the first year where you can actually watch live artists working throughout the entire 2-month program.
Yeah, see how much goes into their pieces, for sure. Okay, more with Andrea later on in the show. We'll talk about other contests you can join to win some other prizes around Whistler. Well, I'm here with one of the artists taking part in this year's Art Walk, making many things yourself, as we see behind one of the paintings you've done, B. Let's talk about your craft first of all. How would you describe your paintings that people can come into here, the real estate office, and see?
Well, I paint in oil, and it's landscape paintings, and it's representational, which means that you can recognize what the scene is. It's not abstract.
Okay,
yeah,
be like your type of artist, not as much guessing.
Yeah, exactly. So these are all places that I've been to, and I take pictures when I'm there, and then I go back home and make paintings from the photos.
Amazing. And what makes just that Whistler such a great place to seek inspiration for paintings? Obviously, you've got so many to show here.
Well, the beautiful landscapes that we have here are just very compelling, and so I have a lot of lovely photos.
Yeah, you do, for sure. And obviously, you've taken part in Art Walk for about 8 years now or so. What made you initially want to take part when it first started?
Well, when you're first starting, throughout your progression in art, being able to show your work is really motivating, and it really motivates you to want to produce and want to improve and produce something that you're proud enough to show and have people see it.
Yeah, and how have you seen it kind of evolve art? When you first started, did you just have a few paintings the first year, and it's just kind of grown from there for you?
Yeah, the first year I was a part of a group show in Millennium Place, so I only had to have a couple of pieces in that. And then I was at different places in Function Junction, at Delish Cafe, and Patina Home Interiors. So now being in the village is really cool, because this is, the Art Walk is mostly here, so this is really exciting. And being in Whistler real estate is it's a great location.
Yeah, it's different setting for your paintings you're not used to,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And just talking about that, we've heard it's a great idea and a space for people to get their work out there. Is that a real challenge, would you say, for today's artists or just artists in general, is finding a way to get your work out there for the general public to see?
Yeah, it is. It is because that's really the ultimate goal, is for other people to enjoy it as well, and to progress to a point where your work is good enough to be shown. So participating in ArtWalk really gives you a chance to get in a venue, because getting into a gallery it's really hard and it's very competitive.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, beautiful pieces here for sure.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Bea.
Thank you.
Yeah, and best luck on this year's Art Walk. Welcome back to the show. We're here at the Whistler Real Estate Company, one of the companies taking part in this year's Art Walk, and actually you have a large title. You're one of the main sponsors for this event, have been for many years. The man standing next to me is Pat Kelly, owner and president of the Whistler Real Estate Co. So Pat, just that, you guys have been taking part, I know, close to 10 years on and off in the event. What made you want to take part in Art Walk?
Well, it's an opportunity for us to connect with the arts community. We believe that arts, culture, performance is an important part and element of the resort. And it's important for, I think this is an event that primarily allows our grassroots artists to have a platform where they can be viewed without actually going into a gallery setting.
Yeah, and talk about that. You've got quite the display. I expected maybe one or two pieces when we came, but kind of explain the setup you have this year all throughout your office.
We decided to go with a little bit more artwork than we would normally have. We have 2 or 3 artists who are portraying landscapes on different mediums, and some interesting still lifes as well. And we think it'll be a little bit more eclectic than in the past, and combined with an opportunity to network and socialize with locals and tourists alike who may come to the event, we think it'll be kind of fun on Saturday.
Yeah, everyone wins for sure.
Yeah.
And you might make a sale while they're in here for a home. You never know.
Well, I wouldn't
Wishful
say
thinking.
that that's what we're going to be doing,
No.
but it is after hours and we won't be closing. But this is also an opportunity for us to invite our clients, people who we have tried to impress upon that Whistler's more than houses, that there's a bigger lifestyle here, and this gives us an opportunity to invite our clients to come and look at the artwork. Some of them do buy things, but for the most part, it's a thank you to our clients. It's also a thank you to the artists that add a little extra color to our community over time.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and we're seeing many more different businesses taking part in Art Walk, which is awesome. Realtors, other store owners. So
Yeah, it's I think for people coming to Whistler, it's one of those things you don't really hear about till you get here. But after you've done the biking, after you've done the hiking, after perhaps you've had one late night, you might want to do something a little bit different and take a look at some of the very talented people that we have in the community that should be featured, quite frankly.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Pat, for joining me. And I know
No
you're
problem.
a busy day of realty, so I'll let you get at it there. Well, I'm here with local sculptor James Stewart. Thanks for joining me, first of all.
Pleasure.
Yeah, very busy, as we could see around your area here of many different sculptures. But let's talk about, first of all, you moved here in December. What made you want to take part in Art Walk this year?
Well, I mean, actually, one of the main reasons is this visibility. As you can see, this is a tough area to find. I'm on the stroll, but I'm beside the movie theater and kind of tucked away. So I think having a map that enables people to actually search me out is really going to be helpful to find my work.
Would you say for artists that's one of the biggest roadblocks? It's not actually starting your craft, it's actually getting it noticed. Did you find that throughout your career so far?
Good point. Accessibility to an audience is really important. These days, having a brand and associating your brand with a certain buyer is really important. And I think the Whistler brand and the ArtWalk brand go really well together with my work.
They definitely do. Gorgeous space you have here. So let's talk about that. You've been doing sculpting for 20 years. Really cool that you've traveled over 65 countries. Is that it, eh?
That's it. Still counting.
And you take pictures of things you see and recreate them. So kind of talk us through this one we have here. What made you want to recreate this camel?
Well, I was in the Sinai Peninsula, windsurfing actually, in this place called Dahab. And I was basically trying to find what I thought represented the Bedouin community. And the Bedouins basically are very nomadic and they travel everywhere. And so the camel was the most important. And I was actually photographing this little camel with this boy on top of it that was separate than this one. And And then suddenly this little boy with this huge camel walks up, and I just was blown away. I mean, I only stand up to here.
Oh my gosh.
Up to his foot. So you can imagine how tall this animal actually is. So I was just taken aback, and I knew at that point this is the thing I had to sculpt.
Yeah, amazing. And what's kind of the process in doing that? That looks like it would take me probably 6 months.
You know, it took me a year and a half because I was actually supervising District 9, which is a little alien film kind of thing. And so I was doing this at night. And so all through the film, I'd come home every night and I'd work for an hour.
My goodness. But let's talk about the actual process. What exactly is this that you use, first of all, to create these pieces? What's the actual material?
It's an oil-based clay.
Okay.
So it's just like a normal clay, but instead of using water, you use oil. And what that allows me to do is leave it out for long periods of time, and that way it doesn't dry. And then from that point on, you then use a foundry where they mold it. And then from the mold, they then create a wax, and the wax is hollow. Amazing. They separate the mold, and then they basically do another mold of the wax, and then they melt out the wax from that mold and pour in liquid bronze. Wow. It's very complicated, and each one of these pieces is all welded together again. this is 20 pieces welded together in this camel.
Amazing. And on top of just that, you going off photographs you find, you also take photographs from people locally if they want you to recreate something.
That's a new phenomenon, yes.
Yeah, so let's go check out one here,
Sure.
Another one you have. Yeah, kind of talk us through this one. Did someone brought a picture and wanted you to recreate it, or?
Well, kind of. This is a horse that my friend basically is commissioning. Its name is Replica, but I'm going to use it as a Callahan horse. There's a lot of horse riding in Whistler, and there's a lot of people who love to buy horses. Yeah. So I've created it using the photographs from their horse to create this, and so I've often now been commissioned to make people's either people's
this guy here.
people's faces,
yeah.
or their horses, or whatever they feel is necessary on top of my other stuff.
Yeah, amazing. Just that, what do you want people to kind of take away from your pieces? Obviously, they're all different, but what's kind of the common theme that you're trying to communicate to people at the end of the day?
Well, there's different categories. I think there's a beauty, obviously, in what's surrounding Whistler and the environment that we have. So when people do buy the bears and the moose and whatnot, I think they're inspired by the local area, and that's very important to support Whistler. Me personally, the traveling and trying to bring in a relatable international message that we're very similar is really important to me. So that's why you see so many pieces from around the world, is I think I'm trying to represent something that's innate in all of us.
Right, the human condition or qualities.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Well, very impressive pieces you have, for sure,
Thank you very
James.
much.
Thanks for joining me. Okay, well, we're back here inside Millennium Place in the full circle around Whistler, joined once again with Andrea. So again, if you want to take part in ArtWalk, happening June 27th until August 31st. And we've talked about the different stops you can find in the brochure, but Andrea also touched on there's kind of an evening guide. People can also find out more information.
So there will be a separate evening guide. It's available on the night of the opening, which is June 27th, and it will have the list of all the different artists that are participating as musicians, as performers, and doing live demonstrations on the stroll. It also will include the listing of the different venues that are offering things like wine and appetizers that you can go and take advantage of.
Yeah, it really is a party along with just the art walk. I didn't realize it's a whole kind of big event surrounding it also.
Yes, definitely. It's a great night out. You can mingle with local artists, you can mingle with locals, and the visitors are more than welcome to come and join us and have a great time that night.
Yeah, for sure. And while you're doing that mingling and everything, also you want people to post their pictures to Twitter, Instagram. I know you've got an online little contest going on right now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we want people to share their ArtWalk moments, so they can take a picture, put it on Instagram, hashtag ArtWalk2015, and they'll have a chance to win different prints by local artists, such as Chili Tom.
Yeah, gorgeous prints you could win, so start posting. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. Well, that's our show today here on Go. Thank you so much for joining us as well. If you have any other questions you want to know about ArtWalk, or send us your pictures as well, you can find us online on Facebook and on Twitter. And as always, you can view all of our art stories and all the other stories we cover on our YouTube channel. The link's on the bottom of your screen there. Until next time, I'm Vanessa Ibarra.